Hello, everyone. I am Ronnie from Cuddlepunk. Welcome to the very first episode of Cuddlepunk Interviews. My very first guests right here. If you are at all involved in the Chicago alt rock scene, you already know who they are. Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary folks, Soak is here. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Good.
Woo.
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Absolutely.
thank you.
No problem. All right. So does everybody want to go around real quick and share? I want to know just your name, what you do in the band, and your pronouns if you're comfortable sharing them.
Yes, I am Alexis Plain. I am the vocalist and I go by she, they.
Cameron Carlson, he, him, and I play drums.
Jonah Nink, he, him as well, and I play bass.
Nick Bilski, he, him, and I'm the guitar player.
Fantastic. So I took the liberty of doing a little bit of research on you guys. I think that Alexis and Nick were the people who started the band in the first place. Alexis and Nick, y'all have a pretty interesting story as to how y'all ended up in Chicago. Would you like to share that real quick?
Nick, you want to go ahead?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we met at McNally Smith College of Music our freshman year there. We were both students studying, and then we were there 3 semesters playing around, and then 5 days before the end of the semester, they sent us an email. They're like, "Your school is closing due to lack of funds," with like no, absolutely no plan of anything. They just this ominous email, and then usually took a semester out to figure out our own things, and then we're like, Chicago seems cool. We should relocate to there, and then kind of just made it happen. I met these 2 guys.
Did you guys ever find out why the school shut down in general?
Basically, they're in the process of switching over from a for-profit to a nonprofit.
Ooh.
And when you do that, I guess you lose a lot of the debt that you're in because you're a nonprofit. And people that were funding the school right before it was about to like legally be a nonprofit, they saw how much debt the school was in and they pulled out, and it was just kind of a domino effect. And so it was just like really bad timing, poor handling by a lot of the people in charge, and just a mess, honestly.
God, that just sucks. That's gotta suck. But it seems to have worked out at least okay. I'm sure it was terrible at the time, but it seems to at least have worked out okay for everybody. Who's the main lyric writer in the band?
Alex.
Hello. It is me.
Alexis, who are your influences lyrically, would you say?
Lyrically, I really love like the writing of Joni Mitchell and Courtney Barnett and like Lucy Dacus and people that do very like personal, emotional writing, but then they also do stream of consciousness kind of things as well, and paint pictures with their imagery and their words, and I really love that. But I'm also influenced by other writers like poets and people like Albert Camus and Alan Watts and other like philosophers as well.
Of course. Instrumentally, for the other 3 members of the band, what are your guys' influence? Because there's a lot of stuff happening in your guys' songs. Like there's like funk elements, and then there's more punk elements, and then it gets math rocky at certain points. Who does everybody pull from?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely all over the place. Like you mentioned, it's probably all 3 of those for me. But I think like I'll literally go from listening to like Taylor Swift's new stuff to like Periphery in the same like 5 seconds. So it's like for me, yeah. For me, so it's a lot of like progressive rock and math rock. Yeah, and also like playing a lot of funk and R&B, and even like pop and classic rock, kind of all the above.
For me, it's like a lot of rock, some funk, like, Earth, Wind, and Fire, that sort of disco thing. Yeah, definitely a lot of rock, some like metalcore drummers, like, yeah, Dave Grohl, The Rev, Dave Weckl, Steve Gadd, all the drummers, big drummers are obviously a huge influence. Buddy Rich, Gene Krupa, but yeah, rock music in general for me.
I'm gonna kind of echo those same 2 statements. I like a lot of older stuff, a lot of classic rock, but it's a lot of funk and R&B as well. I'm a big James Jamerson fan, and then I also love players like Roger Waters and Mike Rutherford from Genesis, a big one. Weirdly, I just saw them. Very, very lame. And I love like Roger Waters and Tony Levin and all of the Born in the Wrong Generation go-tos. So yeah, just that kind of stuff. But I really try to stay open-minded as far as music goes, because sky's the limit basically.
What was lame about the Genesis show? Because I heard they played like one song like for the first time in years.
No, that's a gut reaction. I'm always worried when I bring them up that somebody's going to shove me into a locker, but it hasn't happened yet. So it was actually fucking awesome. I loved it.
I think people have enough respect for Phil Collins that Genesis love. I think particularly with the Tarzan soundtrack, you're just like you can't.
Yeah.
If you can't hate Phil Collins, then you can't hate Genesis.
You can't. I think people who do. Oh man, a Genesis tangent. I think people who do haven't fully appreciated just the level of like the breadth of stuff that they did. It's just fantastic, and it was just a great show. Really happy I got to see that.
So you guys have put out 5 songs total, 2 singles, and then 1 EP on Spotify. They're all great, by the way, and everyone should go listen to that stuff. You guys have also been
Thank you.
trying to work on a full-length album. What have been the differences in trying to put together the full length versus that EP that you put out last year?
Distance for one, obviously, and
The songs were
think-
the 5 songs that we have right now are really based on a lot of just lots and lots of jamming, lots and lots of just meeting up, just because they all went to Columbia. I went to UIC, which is a school just right down the road, and so we were all very close, and they had access to the Columbia practice spaces, and I just remember just hours and hours of just playing the songs over and over again to the point where they're just back of the hand. So that was kind of how that process worked out for the first couple, but this one is very new because we have the added distance because of COVID, and Nick's down in Nashville, but still I think it's the same level of quality overall because the new stuff is very, very exciting.
Yeah, definitely. The
Yeah.
distance has been interesting because it's allowed us to approach the songs in a different way and like sit with the song a bit before like arranging the parts for it. And it's also allowed us to use different types of instrumentation and sounds as well. And so it's different not being in a room together and like having the songs naturally come together that way, but it's become an exciting like new tool in the songwriting belt, I would say.
Yeah, I think in general, like our older stuff was more just like guitar, bass, drums, like more not like super raw sound, but like more of a raw thing. And then this we're like experimenting with like hyper real sounds, like a lot of synths, a lot of that type of stuff. And yeah, I'm in Nashville, so writing, it's just they send me like Alexa sent me this really cool song called Return the other day, and then it's just like, oh, I can put some ambient stuff over that, and that was really fun. Just do it that way. Like it wouldn't have happened if we were all in a room. Maybe it would have happened a different way, I don't know, but I like how that one turned out for sure.
Me too.
we're also working with a new producer or a different one, so that's obviously a different experience. Just like you were saying, Alexis, just different ways of doing things, different approaches. Like everything is just a different perspective, which is cool because like we're seeing how different people, their takes on like what we could do with our sound, which is really cool.
And it's interesting because he has a history in EDM too, as well as like classic rock. And so it's been interesting bridging old sounds with new sounds and trying to find the best vehicle to like express these songs. We're so excited to share it with people.
I'm excited to hear it. Who is producing the album? Is it the guy who was holding your phone for IG Live?
No, it's Dan Hill.
Dan Hill, gotcha.
Yes.
Current touring drummer for Enough's Enough.
You guys were talking about the like new musical ideas that you guys are gonna have on the new album. Are there any lyrical themes that you're gonna be exploring on this album that you haven't explored yet on the old one?
Because it was written mostly during quarantine, I explore a lot of themes of death and like what it means to be human and alive, because we were seeing a lot of unnecessary death and things happening. And then also themes of existentialism and absurdity, especially for younger people in the 21st century, and the unique things that we're dealing with, such as like the climate crisis and late stage capitalism and economic uncertainty, and all these things weighing on our shoulders and the emotions surrounding that and how we cope with that, and if we can live like in spite of those feelings. And that's really what we're exploring on this record. And it's some of my favorite writing I've ever done, and I'm really excited. It's a hard thing to write about too.
Yes,
You know, I
it
think
sure
it's a
is.
hard thing to write about without it sounding like cheesy, but also it's so dark.
Yeah.
Because it's so dark, and so it's hard to sit with and to actually like fully write a piece about. But yeah, if you can, there needs to be more of it out there. So if you're listening, if you're a writer, if you're a creator, talk about it. It's important.
You guys had your first show back in a very long time at Subterranean. You were opening for Snooze. How was it back being on stage after almost 2 years?
I was so happy. Like finally, it was just nice to be on stage.
I thought there'd be more like stage fright because of the amount of time in between shows, but we just kind of started, we just kind of hit the ground running, and it was like, a COVID amount of times worth of energy just coming out on stage.
Yeah, I want to say too, since Nick's in Nashville, we had our friend Anya Thomas fill in for the show at Sub T on the 7th. But yeah, no, it felt so good to be back up there, and I had so much pent up performance energy. I was ready to pop, and it felt like the best feeling ever, and I can't wait to get back up on stage again.
Everybody on the bill was really crazy too. Like, have you guys played with everybody on that bill?
We've only played with Cut Your Losses. They actually were on our release show right before COVID started. They're really good friends of ours.
And Disaster Kid, we played with them like 2 years ago at Columbia for a Battle of the Bands thing.
Right.
Funny enough.
Yeah, just the level of just talent and musicianship, not just among us, but everybody on that bill was just so great. And they're all really fun to work with, great people. Anybody who lets me borrow their bass amp is a cool guy, let me tell you.
That's fantastic. That level of just like, I don't care, I want you guys to do as well as I do. Because let me tell you, from the acting world, that's not the case.
I think if you're in a band, especially now because of social media and stuff, you almost have to be an active part of your musical community. It's just, there's no getting around it. It's important to not just share your own shows, but just lift up other people and share other shows and share each other's music, because that's just kind of how it works now.
Community.
Yeah,
it's a better community. It's definitely, yeah, we can support each other and still like exist. It doesn't have to be like a competition all the time.
Would you guys say that the Chicago scene is particularly good at that level of like camaraderie and just like making sure that everything's together?
oh yeah.
Not there anymore, but from my time there, for sure. Like it was, everyone felt very supportive, especially like in the indie DIY/alt rock scene. It felt like everyone was like coming to each other's shows, doing their thing. Chicago in general, it had a lot of different like kind of sub scenes, and in that kind of niche one, it was super nice. A lot of support from the other bands and other fans.
You guys played, I think, every song that you have at the Sub T show, but you also chose 2 covers to do. You chose Transparent Soul by Willa Smith and Travis Barker, and then you also had Misery Business. What goes into cover choice?
I partially wanted to do those 2 songs because I mean, from a musical perspective, it definitely fits our sound a lot, and it's always good to do something that's like modern, and that people are like familiar with like currently. That's not like something that's been played a lot, and like musically, they both suited my voice very well. Like the range was like in a good spot for me, so I want to do that. And also like Woman in Rock, hell yeah,
Absolutely.
hell yeah.
We get compared to Paramore a lot, so we just wanted to have fun with it when we played Misery Business. But I think Transparent Soul was sort of the sleeper surprise of the whole show, because that was so much fun to play and put together.
Yeah, it was very fun. We wanted to pick some high energy ones to get the crowd engaged, and that fit with most of our set too.
Of course.
Because if you're doing a cover, a huge part of what that's trying to do in the set is to keep the audience's attention, because if it's songs that they're not familiar with, it's a good way to kind of like bring them back in. And if they can like engage, sing along, if they're familiar with it, and the crowd's reaction at the show was exactly what we were hoping for. It was great.
How do you feel about Paramore comparisons?
I can't speak for the rest of them, but I had some thoughts. Like at first, I was like, no, I don't really think we sound like them. Everyone's probably just saying that because we have a female lead singer. And then like once some of those last demos that we've been working on, it's like, okay, for some songs I definitely see it. So it's not like too much like them, but I think I don't know. I don't feel that bad about it anymore, at least for me personally.
Yeah, I don't see it as a terrible thing, honestly.
Yeah, they're great. It was just kind of a running joke at first,
Yeah.
Yeah,
because
that
like,
too.
of course we're compared to Paramore, because any kind of rock-ish band with a girl in it is, compared to them. And so like Don't Love, that kind of like monolithic stereotype kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
Female
we
fronted
do have a lot of
genre.
similarities. Yeah. And I mean, they're a killer band, so it's always like a compliment to be compared to them too.
I think it's all about just reading people's intentions when they make the comparison.
What made you want to change that lyric in Misery Business? Because I heard everybody like notice it in unison almost. And personally, I am tired of the discourse about Misery Business, especially now, because with that lyric, you guys own that song now. Paramore doesn't have to play it anymore. You guys changed it and it's yours now.
Okay, so in the second verse, Haley Williams says, "Once a horror, there's nothing more. I'm sorry, that'll never change." And in recent years, she's kind of retracted those lyrics because it's kind of like slut shamey, and she really wanted to, because she was young when she wrote it too, and she kind of regretted the way that she went about that song because it didn't really like, stand for her belief like supporting other women. And so I changed the lyric to "Once a whore, there's something more, because we don't slut shame." And I wasn't afraid that it would get lost in the music because it's like a really quick part. Like that part's pretty fast, really small change. And so in the moment, I decided to belt it at the show to like make sure like it got across, and people like lost it. And I was so
Feel the
happy that
shift,
it like,
absolutely.
yeah, I was happy people responded that way to it because it is I think an important update to be made to the song, and I was pleased with it.
Nick, real quick, we talked about the Chicago scene a little while ago. How long have you been in Nashville at this point?
I've been here about 3 months. I moved out of Chicago in July, moved down here in August, and it's been awesome so far. I'm gigging like 3 times a week, recording. The scene is great.
I was gonna ask, yeah, how would you compare the Chicago scene and the Nashville scene? Because I feel obviously Nashville is probably like more country leaning, I would say.
Yeah, it is, but it's also kind of like Chicago, where there's a bunch of like niches. Where there's like I've played a lot of country here, but like the main band I'm gigging with is like a mix of like R&B, pop, and rock. Then I've done like acoustic, like pop, jazz stuff too. So there's a lot of everything really too. It is like mostly country, especially depending on where you are. Like Broadway, which is Nashville's downtown, is super country leaning. That's mostly country and rock. But then like if you go to East Nashville, which is like a hip up and coming kind of area where a lot of people are moving to, it's like more indie and pop and everything. So there's a lot of everything. It's absolutely great here too. Plus they pay the musicians well.
That's awesome. Where's everybody from, and did you gig there? And like, could you speak on the scenes there and how they like compared to the Chicago scene, I guess?
Chicago suburbs for me. So
Same as well. I'm about an hour and a half outside the city.
Yeah, I'm from Minneapolis, and I was only there briefly, like early like college time, so I didn't get to play around too much. But the scene there is really cool. It's smaller, but it's so incredibly supportive, and everyone just wants to like lift each other up. And there's a lot of really cool like blending of subgenres and stuff going on there, and great infrastructure and like the venues and like public radio and stuff to encourage younger local artists. So it's great.
That's
And
awesome.
from Cleveland, that's where I grew up and everything. A good scene there too. It's smaller than like Chicago and Nashville scenes. There's still like a ton happening, a lot more than you'd think. Yeah, super good there too. I've been lucky to live a lot of places where there's good music.
We
Ohio's
played with a
probably-
band from Cleveland. They're called Bitch Seat, and I love them so much. They're so good. Check out Bitch Seat if you can. I think they just played the Fest in Florida, actually.
Oh wow. Is that BIT space SED or
It's
It's
actually
two I's.
BIITCH. Oh, you're making me spell SEAT, all one word.
we'll put everything that we recommend in the description below. Absolutely.
Yes, they're great. Hit them up.
Do we have a date for a possible single for the new record, or are we still just working on everything right now?
Still in the like early tracking final arrangement stuff, but we're looking at spring 2022.
Awesome. I think that's all I've got for everybody. Does everybody want to? We'll do the same order that we did. Where can we find the band and where can we find you guys?
You can find us at Soak, S-O-K, the band, on all the social medias. And then also soaktheband.com. We've got a cool newsletter you can sign up for there to keep in touch with us.
Link to that will be in the description.
Yes.
And on our website, there's links to like every social media or streaming service that you could want. So if you have trouble finding us for whatever reason, which sometimes is an issue because of the characters in our name, just go to our website and there's links right
Yeah.
there. It's super easy.
And we also have the Soak store on our website as well, which has all of our merch available with free shipping. Ooh.
The merch
Buy a
is great.
sweater.
The merch is great. I can attest to it. I bought one of their shirts, but I didn't want to wear it because that seems like a hack interviewee thing to do.
You should have worn it.
I'm at it right now. Go.
So funny. Oh, it's happening.
Oh, he's doing it. Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Get him, champ.
He's in
Yes.
He's in the
Yeah.
band now. It's official.
Yes.
Let's talk really quick. Actually, speaking of your merch, can you guys talk about like the carton like EP thing that you guys have for your merch? Because it's my favorite piece of merch I've ever seen.
Thank you. Yeah, so for our EP release that happened in 2020, one of the songs on the record is called Pulp. And on the artwork for the EP, there is like an orange slice with like blue goop and all this fun stuff. And I really love creative packaging design. And so I wanted to think of a unique way to like be able to give out merch or just have like a unique piece. And I was like, well, we have an orange, let's do a juice carton for it. So I designed a juice carton template thing and did nutrition fact information based on the EP and the band. And it's a merch bundle. So you can get it on our website. We have a few left. They're a limited edition piece, so get them while you can. And it comes with a t-shirt, some stickers, buttons, a lyric book for the EP, and I believe that's it. But it's loaded with goodies, a really cool collectible piece, and has a little Velcro closure at the top too, so you can store your goodies.
Everyone should go online and buy one of those right now. So then you can say that you had the coolest Soak merch yet when they blow up eventually. If
Thank
everybody,
Be like a
everybody else-
classic thing. You'd see this picture of us all stacked together, our heads on the side. That was such a funny picture to take. We're like standing on like
That was a fun photo
rafters or
shoot.
something. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Someone said, Nick, it looks like your neck's gonna snap off because you're at the bottom of the head stack.
Oh, yeah.
It did. It was crazy. We had to
We're all
put it back
balancing
together.
on Nick's neck.
Well, I, for one, cannot wait to get back on Spotify and listen to the songs that you have out. I especially cannot
Thanks.
wait for that album when it hopefully comes out in spring 2022. We will not rush you guys at all. If nobody else has anything else to say, I want to thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you so
Thank
much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having it. It was our first one of these in a while, and they're always fun to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you.
Links to all of their social media and their website can be found in the description, as well as my social media. You can find me at Cuddlepunk_1 on Twitter. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell to know when I post new videos. This is my first time doing actual end of video YouTuber shit, and it's really uncomfortable. I don't know how everybody does this. Thank you guys so much for watching.